Had a few of them under pressure out wide, Murph, and was probably the winning move.
Yeah, that's... he might have only been beaten once when he's led in his life. So in front is his best attribute. He's pretty hard to catch. So I was quite content to bowl along and make everything work. And, so got a good break at about the 350 and held him off. So he's done a good job.
It's been a little while since he's won a race, but he's been incredibly consistent for a long time, hasn't he?
Never ever runs a bad race. He's funny. He strikes little purple patches, which he seems to be in at the moment, where he's, he runs the mobile good, and for some reason he just loses his gate speed and he loses his zip a little bit, but he never ever runs a bad race. He's as honest as anything. But so maybe we might give him sort of 3, 4, 5 runs and then have little breaks. He's too old to have a long spell, but. I think I've worked out the way to work him at home a little bit now, so, hopefully we can keep this form for a bit longer,
No one really getting close to pressuring you into making a move before you had to?
No, I sort of was giggling early when they all went back and lob 1-1. I was actually said to Beck before, and I can't work out how this horse on his heat run is $53, and on the turn, I looked back and nothing was sort of making ground. I was still had a lap full of horse, and it just panned out beautiful.
It did. He's not big on the water truck, but we'll be right. It did, but he's still got to be able to put him away, and he put him away quite comfortably. There was a couple of the swoopers looked like they were going to get over the top, but on the line you were holding them with a bit like you had a length and a half up your sleeve.
Yeah, he sort of takes a little bit to wind up, but when he winds up, he keeps going at that speed, and that was my only worry, how long I was going to take the wind up and get rhythm, but he sort of hit him pretty quick and claimed the leaders fairly quick, so it was good.
That was great return, Lise, to the racetrack especially. He was on good form, but it was very impressive.
That was a lot of fun, actually, Paulie. I'm right with him. We had the best draw in the run and following the right horse, so couldn't be more pleased.
I said in me a little bit of a run through. This horse was, I think, $8, and Majestic, I was going to say Majestic Eyes, not Majestic Eyes, but the horse you're following, was about $4.50. Both these two horses, they probably weren't quite as good as the best of the 3-year-olds last year, but they weren't that far behind them. This bloke went to the paddock a little bit earlier. I think you missed out on the Breeders' Crown, and they fought out the finish just then. I know Scruffy Murphy split the difference, but some really nice 3-year-old trotters around come back as 4-year-olds, or were 3-year-old trotters, but they're going to be coming back now as 4-year-olds.
Absolutely. Look, he's hopefully he really takes the next step, but he's grown a lot since his earlier days and, did some really good racing and did some things wrong. And look, let's just hope that he's matured and he can take the next step from here.
Dan said looked like could have gone for another quarter. You're puffing a little bit. I'm not sure what your thoughts on that are, Jack.
Yeah, no, he certainly did feel strong to the line, and even running down the back, he was still full of running, so I think he's a pretty nice horse.
Took a little bit of coaxing, I suppose, to get across Gildy Hanover early on, but then after that, it was pretty much game on. The Herbertson horse was keeping you honest a long way from home, and I think that's sort of the type of racing he loves.
Yeah, no, definitely. He sort of took a little bit to wind up at the start, and they all showed a fair bit of speed as well, so... he had to burn a little bit, but sort of once he gets rolling, he seems to keep rolling, so it sort of suited him well.
A lot of speed on early, and there was a lot of pressure early on in that race.
Yeah, she handled it quite well, Paulie. She's beat some nice mares in that race tonight.
She did beat some nice mares. Dan alluded to there before. She's sort of a little bit of an unlucky mare. She's always thereabouts, but just can't quite get that nice win, but she's well and truly done that tonight, mate.
Yeah. She's probably always a length off him, She's won out 2 back when you wanted to be 1-1, or she's 1-1, they get a slow second quarter sort of thing, and she can't make up that length. But, her racing, she's just been getting better and better all the time. And I said to Bo, just a consistent mile racing, just improved her week in, week out. And I've been telling him that, she might not look like she's gone good, but she's gone super, and she's got better and better every week. So, he's stuck with her, and I'm actually really proud of this mare. She's done a good job.
In the end, I suppose, a bit of a regulation win. It was a long delay waiting for the race, but it was a bit of a regulation win once you got there, just to dictate dictate terms out in front?
Yeah, it worked out well. When Di Danuto come, obviously I was going to kick up, and we found the front, and were able to dictate the race after that. And he sprinted nicely and too good.
He's a lovely little horse, and all the boys love him, but he just seems to switch off, as most of the Emma Stewart horses do, switch off. Then when you need him to knuckle down, he seems to knuckle down to the job. But last weekend, even tonight, he seems to, that last 100 metres, he just seems to just relax when he's got him beat and doesn't sort of savage the line. But I think once all that comes together, he could be a really nice horse.
Yeah, he knows how to get the job done. He actually likes to launch about the 300 or 200. He really wants to get rocking, and he sort of puts a space in him, and then he, he's too good. And he's just a lovely little horse, and had a little bit out the gate, but it didn't matter. And terrific.
That was a good Derby trial. 55-3 last half. It was a ripping race, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, he went fantastic. God, couldn't be happier with him, really. He was a lot better from the last run. He trained on really well during the week, and without being overconfident, we were confident that he would run a really strong race over that distance.
It was a stoush. I thought Kate might have had you on the turn.
So did I, Paulie. It was fun. It's more fun now that we're in the winner's circle, but hopefully it was good to watch. It's sort of a bit harder to enjoy it when you're in the moment, but he was good. He was beaten probably at the top of the straight, but the other horse was fantastic in defeat, and it was just great this bloke kicked on.
I've interviewed you a couple of times with this bloke, and I love it. I love him. I think he's just got something about him that, I love. I think high speed. Everyone loves high speed, but he's got a lot of character about him as well. You're a little bit judgmental on yourself that you may not have been hard enough on him a couple of times in his races, and he needs a bit of a, not so much a smarten up, but a lift up, I suppose. That's probably what you're after.
Yeah, definitely. Probably when these good horses go through their grades and speedy types, and they can sort of win their races without having to be challenged too much. I don't like having to drive a horse out unless you got to, and probably just a couple of times I should have maybe made him do it just a little bit more to the wire. He was always hitting the line good, but at least we looked after him, and the girls and Ange, Brian, Louise, they do a great job. Claire and Teresa were hanging off him before we come out. He's a sort of a funny character. He gets up and about, and he can be very chilled then too. So he's obviously got a bit of improvement off that. He hadn't had a trial and had a run for a while, and obviously just work on him at home, and they were happy enough with where he was at, and they said he'd go very close, and all credit to them guys.
It was just too good right on the line?
Yeah, he just doesn't seem to go quite as well if you use him early, and had a nice quiet first lap, and they really ran a good half.
There's a little bit of tactics early on. I noticed yourself and Dave Moran, you're all trying to posse up in front of everyone without doing any work. It sort of was a bit of a game of chess.
Yeah, small fields are a little bit like that, and thankfully it worked out for us tonight.